All right, Chip, before we get started, do you have enough in your drink there? Do you need a refill yet?
I think I'll need a refill after we get through this.
And I will too. I mean, if you don't have one right now, you might want to go grab yourself a drink before you listen to this because, I mean, it's depressing to a certain extent and it's stressful, but we want to set you up to win. So that's why we're doing this. We're not here to scare you off. We want to set you up to win.
Yeah.
And we want to compare because there are some things that if we really do a real comparison on similarities, differences between, you know, what happened during 2005, 6, 7 versus now, it's a different story. So Chip, I know you weren't in real estate back then, but what do you remember about 2004, 2005, 2006, kind of what was going on in that time?
I mean, I felt like it was almost like a lighter version as to what's going on right now. So a lot of a seller's market per se, a lot of people capitalizing on the gains in their house in short periods of time. So people that only been living in their house a year to 3 years turn around and put them right back on the market. But I don't remember there's as big of an influx of people moving to Phoenix back then as there is now. So it doesn't feel like there was as much demand as there is now. Yeah, it was like this market, but with training wheels a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember it, and I was, back in that time, I was selling new homes for a builder down in Queen Creek, and we were getting a lot of influx from out of state. So here's what I remember similarity-wise. We'll kind of jump into similarities right now. Here's what I remember. Similarities were, we did have an influx in demand, but back then, and I don't know if you know this or remember all this, but like, anybody could get a loan for no matter what. And there was a huge demand on property, like investors could come in, so people could come in and they were trying to buy 5, 6, 7, 10 properties all over the US. And if they could jump on a bus and come into Phoenix and get a property, they would do that. And they could do zero money down and buy a property, and they were gonna rent it out for a year, and then they were gonna sell it and retire with their life savings. Like that was the mindset back then. I don't know if you remember kind of some of that stuff going on.
Well, weren't like lenders standards, like, maybe standards isn't the right word, but lower, like almost anybody could.
There was no standards.
No standards.
There was no standards. You could get a loan no matter what.
If you had a pulse, you could qualify for a loan.
Probably people without a pulse could still get one too. Yeah.
And that's what ended up kind of leading to the demise of that market, right?
Yeah. So the demand was high. So we, you know, from a similarity point of view, the demand was high. We didn't have as low of an inventory, you know, and let me check something real quick. Let me see something real quick. One thing about having a cocktail while you're doing this, you have to remind yourself sometimes, but we had a lot of multiple offers. We had multiple offers over list. It was very competitive. So from the point of view right now that we're going through where it is extremely competitive, there are multiple offers just on about every property that you deal with.
Yeah.
There are people going way over list to try to get stuff done. That might not have been happening as much back then, because people were doing 0% down. If it didn't appraise, they weren't gonna cover that. But just based on like feeling, I think a lot of it feels the same.
Yeah, and aren't a lot, I feel like a lot of the buyers now in today's market, more of them are people that are actually buying to live in the house, not as many just straight investors buying up properties. While they're still out there, but it feels like it's more buyers buying houses to live in than, you know, turn around and flip or rent.
Yeah, well, and so let's go through the differences because I think the differences are very key here too. One of the things that you just touched on that I think is very different is there aren't the investor buyers out there that we're seeing on an overall basis. Like we have the iBuyers that are going in there and gobbling up stuff off market when I'm talking about Zillow and OfferPad, Open Door, all of those iBuyers out there. If you guys aren't familiar with them, and a lot of people probably know them by now, but those are the big companies that basically go into the sellers and they're like, hey, we'll buy your house for you. And then they go in, they buy the house, they take a big chunk of the equity, and then they maybe clean it up a little bit, if that, and they put it back on the market.
Yeah, they're flippers.
So, you know, but it honestly takes actually a lot of inventory away. The other thing too is that when it comes to people putting money down, like people are either paying cash or they're paying 20% down, they're paying 30, 40% down. They're covering appraisal contingencies, so if
shortening inspection periods, like anything to make that offer more attractive.
Yeah, it's just different in a lot of ways in that perspective. The other big factor that is huge right now is mortgage rates, because a lot of the demand right now is because mortgage rates are historically low, and we've been saying that for years, but they truly are at the most historic lows they have been, and that is allowing people to have a little bit more affordability, and that's pushing people to say, hey, we're going to go after it because it's the best time to buy.
Yeah. I mean, even mortgage rates compare them to 2 years ago. I mean, they're 2 points lower than they were this time 2 years ago.
Yeah. No, I think people forget that a lot of times too.
It's giving people a little bit more buying power too. Even with the increased home prices, you can still pay a little extra for that house and have your payment right around the same.
Yeah, no, so this is actually kind of a fun point here, because if you look at the median home price from 2018, for anything that was like 1,500 to 2,000 square foot, I think the median home price was right around 260. And this was in 2018. Now that same home, 1,500 to 2,000 square foot this year, is at, I think, 337. So it's 77K more over 3 years. So pretty decent price increase.
Yeah.
But the interest rate back then was probably like 4.375, 4.5 average. Now it's at like 2.75 average.
Yeah.
So the difference in payment and that 77K difference,
nominal,
right around $70. So that's why people are still like being like, okay, well, because of these interest rates, it's not much different than it was.
So guys, if you're finding this video informative and if you're finding this video valuable, hey, do us a favor. What I'm trying to say is it really helps the channel out. It helps our videos. I mean,
this could be a short by itself.
It could be a short by itself.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea, you guys, Greg and I, A, we like working together. B, we love creating these videos. We would love living here in Phoenix, and we love showing that to you. So if you even like our videos just a tick, just hit that like button for us. It really helps the channel out and helps us help more people like you.
Let's touch base a little bit. Let's cover this a little bit more in detail. What do you think is pushing this increased demand? Because right now, if we look at some of the indexes of what we're seeing, there's like probably the demand is probably 21% higher than it is average right now. What do you think is causing that, or some factors behind that?
I think there's a lot of factors causing that demand here in Phoenix. And if you average it out across other parts of the US, I mean, the affordability is it's still there. The cost of living is still there. You know, with coronavirus kind of forcing / giving everyone the opportunity to work from home. So people aren't forced to go into an office in the Midwest or up in California, wherever they're coming from. They can come out here and work remotely. And our job market's pretty good. I know in 2019, there was 70,000 plus new jobs here in Arizona. So good work opportunity. Back to what you were saying before, just the interest rates being lower, so people have buying power right now too. So there's a mix of it. The weather, and then I think we're always talking about this market. It's just, if you're shopping for a house, there's going to be urgency there no matter what. You're gonna feel the urgency. I think us as agents feel that urgency. So that is adding to it as well.
Yeah, I think if you take all those reasons and if you kind of highlight COVID for sure, because COVID really was took what we thought was going to be a poison pill to the market. I mean, we all thought last year around this time when we were all going to go through this, that it was like, here comes COVID, the market's going to shut down, nobody's going to do anything.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, May, things open back up, and then
the opposite happened.
It was the exact opposite. And then everybody was like, hey, if we're going to be stuck in our homes, then we probably need a better home.
Yeah.
Or if people were stuck in other areas of the country and they're like, we need to go find a better place to live if we're going to be stuck in our homes. So it was really crazy how COVID has changed the migration, changed the pattern. I mean, we already had a ton of people moving here already, but now it kind of advanced that a little bit. And then obviously people who live here as well, who just said, hey, I need to have a different environment now if my kids are going to be at home with me all day.
Yeah.
Now if my kids are here with me all day, I need to have a separate wing of the house to put them in that has some sort of padded walls or something.
Well, even Danielle and I have talked. I mean, the house we're in now, we've been in it 2 years, and the way the market's done, we're like, should we sell? Should we find a new house? And we go back and forth on it, and I have a feeling we're just going to end up staying put. But that same urgency and demand that's being created for people looking to move here is happening to us locals too. That same, oh man, well, I can work from home. Let's go live out in the West Valley, wherever. So twofold, because it's happening to us here and it's happening to those considering coming here. So but it's a good thing.
I mean, yeah, no, I think there's a lot of it's good. I think it's putting people in better positions. It is causing the craziness that we're going through right now, and so there's an upside, there's a downside, like all of it. But hopefully, for the most part, we can take it as a positive.
Yeah.
All right, so we've talked about demand. What do you think's causing the lack of supply? Because this is really the biggest challenge we're having right now, because our supply levels are at not the lowest levels ever. Really, the lowest levels ever. I mean, it's down drastically.
Well, even the percentages from this time last year it's half.
Yeah, if
not more.
A little more than that. I think if you look at the amount of active listings for sale year over year is 60% less. 60%, like, it's ridiculous. So
that's like, we have like just over 4,000 active listings right now.
Yeah.
In March 2021. So March 2020 there was like 7,000 listings.
And then under contract is probably like 12,000, 11 to 12,000 right now. So, by the way, if you're looking at Zillow, it's going to show you that you have 16,000 homes available. That's not true.
It's not true.
So be careful with Zillow.
Yeah.
But back to supply, like, what, outside of like people probably not being as eager to move, whether it's because maybe they don't have a place to go, what other things are kind of adding to that supply crisis?
Well, I know too, like, even with our developers out here and the home builders, they're not able to even build fast enough, and they're building like crazy all across the valley, and they can't keep up. And also, I was mentioning this to you, the demand of people moving here and trying to buy a house, I will say us locals, but people living here already are scared to sell their house, because then they're like, where am I going to go?
Yeah.
So you have to turn around and figure that out. So if you get your house under contract, I mean...
Well, I think basically what you're trying to say is that you're screwed.
Yeah, it's like, it's almost like you can't get the best of both worlds. And like, I same thing with Danielle, we had that conversation. Okay, well, let's sell, let's capitalize, right? Like, our house has appreciated a lot in the last 2 years. Okay, then I'll go find the house in whatever neighborhood that needs a bunch of work,
right? And
we'll rehab it, and then the value will be there. But even finding those houses is...
Distressed properties are almost impossible to find.
Yeah, it's few and far between.
Yeah.
Now you can find ones that don't have like, all the new styles, but it's not the same. Yeah, there's no foreclosures out there.
Or you're potentially what you think is overpaying for it. So a lot of you can find a lot of these older properties. Yeah. One just listed that I know about for like $1 million. It's like original. I don't even want to tell you the details on it, but it's ridiculous. Like what people are listing stuff for right now.
Well, also while I guess what we're saying right now may scare you about the market, there are some things going on historically and statistically that I'll ask Greg and he'll speak about that will maybe put some of your tensions at ease. While it's still going to be competitive if you go to try and buy a house in Phoenix, but Greg, what's going on historically that maybe might not make this sound as bad as it is?
We're going to save that for the end, Chip.
Okay.
We're going to save that for the end. Stick around for the end so you guys have a bright side at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Right now, we're just going to lay out all the negative.
As you're sitting there watching this video and you're thinking about whether you like it or not, you see that little... I tried to be creative, it didn't work. Okay, Greg, so, we're talking about what's going on in the market right now. What are you hearing, or what are people saying out there on social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is? Like, what's the chitter chatter?
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the biggest kind of points right now, and a lot of the reason why we decided to do this, because especially some of the news outlets right now, they're talking about how the market is a frenzy. They're putting it out there. They're putting it on all their websites, their social media, and you get all the comments.
Yeah.
And obviously people like to have their opinions, and you kind of see what are the popular opinions that are out there. And what I'm seeing is that there are a lot of people that feel like we're in another bubble.
Yeah.
And feel like the best option is to wait it out.
Yeah.
And to wait till we have another crash, and then say, hey, we're going to pick it up when the market is, a quarter of what it is right now. That seems to me what a percentage of people out there kind of feel. And if you're looking at it, maybe you believe it, maybe you don't. I don't know what the answer is. I don't have a crystal ball.
Yeah.
Do you?
No.
Are you sure?
I wish I did.
Me too. We could
Yeah,
make a
I
lot of
wish
money together if you did, but we don't have one.
No.
If you guys have one and you want to share, please do. But since we don't have that crystal ball and we don't know what's going to happen, all we can look at is all the concrete information that we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are like, hey, we're going to crash again and I can buy the house that's for sale for $1 million today and it's going to be on sale for $250,000 next year.
Well, I pose a question to those folks. It's like, what if it doesn't happen?
Yeah, I mean, then they're not going to buy anything.
Yeah.
Number one, but I'm talking about the people who really want to buy something that are looking at those comments and are like, well, shit, what do I do?
Yeah.
Apologize for the language, but like that's what I do when I drink. But but what do I do? And we're all going through this. Like we sell real estate, so yes. Do we have an interest in people buying homes? Absolutely. But we're also buyers in this market right now. Yeah. I'm looking to buy another home. You might be looking to buy.
Yeah.
And we're all in this kind of situation trying to figure out, okay, does it make sense? And I know from my perspective, I've questioned it a lot because it feels like it's crazy right now. But everything I look at numbers wise, Chip, tells me that like this is going to keep going.
Yeah, I don't.
And if we don't buy something, like if we're looking to buy something, if we don't buy something, then it's probably going to get worse for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's going to slow down.
Well, the numbers don't support it. The numbers don't support it. If you look at everything that's going on right now with like how many people are moving here, the supply, the demand, like what people are putting into, like I've looked at the forbearance numbers. So for everybody who's like, hey, there's a lot of people in forbearance and they're going to go into foreclosure soon, that's a pretty small number. So I would hesitate to put all your eggs in that basket to feel like, hey, there's going to be a bunch of people that are out on the street tomorrow because they're in forbearance.
Well, and what we were talking about earlier about anybody that had a breath or didn't have a breath qualifying for mortgages, they got that all straightened out. So that's you don't have, I mean, that's not a factor, and that was a huge factor as to what caused that crash. So they've buttoned up, if you will.
Yeah, people who are buying right now are putting a significant portion amount down. If you're lucky, you can still put 5% down. Don't get me wrong. There's still options that if we play our cards right, you can probably get in, do 5% down. You're probably not going to get away with doing a 0 down or 3% down.
Yeah.
You're going to have a really tough time in that market right now based on how many people are out there. It's just it's going to be hard. But
so you have to have the perfect blend of urgency and patience.
Yeah. So the part that is challenging for a lot of people is that a lot of people are priced out of the market.
Yeah.
A lot of people are. It's a tough time for people who don't have a lot saved up right now, looking for a home buying opportunity. And trust me, I feel for you. I think you do the same. But from a perspective of being in a situation where the market's going to tank anytime soon, it's not happening.
No. I mean, and what would you tell someone that's like, I want to move to Phoenix, like what do I have to, I guess, almost like mentally prepare for? Like if I'm going to be, I found property A, I want to buy it, it's listed at 500, like what do I need to be prepared for?
Depends on the house, but more than likely if it's in a neighborhood that's popular and it's a turnkey house that's clean, doesn't have to be the perfect. If the perfect house is going to go for 550 to 600.
Yeah.
A good house is going to go for 525 that's listed for 500. And if it's maybe overpriced on the beginning and not so nice a house, then maybe you're going to pick it up for 500. Or if they really messed up when they listed it, then maybe you can still get it a little bit less.
I'm trying to allude to or should I even ask about multiple offers? You know what I mean? It's like, hey, so we're talking about if a house is okay, it's in a desirable neighborhood, it's listed at 500, but 525 is going to get the job done. Like, what about that why did it take 525? Was there 2 or 3, 4 other offers that you had to go 525 and waive an appraisal? Like what?
So I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
And this is one of my Chandler buyers who I was able to help. And I'm hearing about this a lot. So this is happening all over the place. So let's just take an example on your 500K.
Okay.
If you have a 500K house and it's in a neighborhood that people want to be in, and you've got multiple offers, you're probably going to have, I'd say, in the range of 40 offers potentially on the house, 40 to 50 offers. in the right neighborhood. Of those 40 to 50 offers, you're probably going to have, I'd say, at least 10 to 15 of them that are over list.
Yeah.
And then you're competing. So then you start getting into the competition with the people who are really in it to win it. And then you get into the details on, hey, did you waive your appraisal contingency? Are you lowering your inspection period? Are you doing all the things that the seller wanted as far as terms go? Are you okay with them taking a few items from the house, that type of thing? The seller's always going to have like a few terms that are important to them that they're going to throw into it. A lot of people might want post-possession right now.
Yeah.
So if you are trying to present the best offer possible for the seller to be like, that's a win for me, that makes you a winner. But how you got to that 25K over, 50K over, it's because of the number of multiple offers and the number of people that went over list, which a lot of people are doing to try to win right now.
And are there a lot of cash buyers in the mix? Like, let's say, the same house is listed for 500, you got a 525 offer that's, conventional financing, but you got the 515 cash. What do you think sellers are leaning towards?
Yeah, depends on the seller. If it's a 10K difference, you probably might do cash. It depends on if the conventional buyer, how much they're putting down, if they waive their appraisal, if they lower their inspection, and the other terms. Like, it's all the terms combined.
Yeah.
The cash buyer can win a lot of times if they're competing term for term. But if the conventional buyer has way better terms and they're putting enough down, that conventional buyer can win.
Yeah.
One of the things that we like to do on our end too is, make sure, and this is another video in general, but like if it makes sense to throw in, we'll throw it in. But one of the things we like to do is make sure that we communicate with the agent, we have the lender communicate with the agent, and we make sure that everybody knows that we're all like working to try to make the seller as happy as possible when we're trying to win this type of situation.
Well, and someone watching this, what do you mean exactly by like the lender communicating with the agent?
Yeah, absolutely. So if I'm going to submit an offer over to the...
So let's say I'm your buyer.
Okay, so Chip's my buyer. We're going to submit an offer on a property in Gilbert for 500K, or that's listed for 500K. Chip's coming in, he's like, hey, I can put 20% down. I can waive my appraisal contingency. I really love this house. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
But he's up against a cash buyer. So his lender, which our preferred lender is Rudy Lopez.
Yep.
But we're going to have Rudy give that agent a call, and Rudy's going to go talk to the agent and say, hey, look, Chip is very well qualified. He loves this house. This is what he's willing to do. This is what we've gone through as far as his application, loan process, to really clear up any details or questions. And we've had a lot of situations where sometimes with all the offers that get submitted, some of them get mixed up.
Yeah.
So it's really important to have somebody out there calling on your behalf.
Reassuring the sellers that you can execute on the contract.
We may or may not put this in the video. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
we might be going tangent.
I started thinking of questions, so
it might be good for something else. Maybe we'll use this in another video.
Well, and this too, and for someone watching this that might not understand, like when you say waive an appraisal contingency, just go into this if you want, but if I'm your buyer, right, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to come in, it's listed for 500, I'm going to come in at 550, I'm comfortable waiving the appraisal contingency. Like, what is that telling the seller in that case? Like, why does that make my offer that much better?
Yeah, so here, a huge thing right now. Number one, because prices are pushing higher than normal.
Okay.
So right now, an appraisal might come in lower than what the list price is because there's no comps for it. We're in a escalating market. So in an escalating market, people are going to list higher than what the comps are. You're not having to be like, hey, the house next door to me sold 2 months ago for this amount. That's what I should sell mine for. No, they're like, hey, we're pushing because the market's crazy.
Yeah.
The demand's crazy, and they want to get as much as they can. So you're not gonna put your, I guess, the power into the hands of an appraisal.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. Like if I'm selling a house, I'm like, I'm not gonna worry about an appraisal. I want to know somebody who's like, hey, I want your house. I don't care about the appraisal, and if it doesn't appraise, then I'm gonna pay the difference. Not many people can do it, but it comes in handy. All right, Chip, I apologize to break into the video, but I have an empty cocktail. So why I go refill that, can you convince people to like our video?
You guys, while Greg's getting a refill, I need you to like this video.
I'm back. Did you like it yet? Oh wait, it's still empty.
They just did. So actually, we're trying to get this video to 100 likes, you guys. Can you help us do that?
100 likes in an hour.
A smooth 100. That's not asking a lot, you know, just a smooth 100.
All right, so overall, Chip, we've gone through a lot of information, and you know, again, like our goal is not to scare people, but to really paint a picture of what's going on, so you have the right expectations. But you know, for people who really want to know the answer to the question, is it a good time to buy still? What do you think?
So yeah, absolutely, I think it's a good time, and for a couple reasons. When the market crashed last time, there's a bunch of different factors going on that caused that. Those same factors aren't going on. So historically, we're on a different trajectory than we were back then. And also, the reasons that are causing the demand here, you know, in my opinion, they're all good reasons. You have people moving here, you have a great job market that's causing people to move here. And then with the interest rates as low as they are, like, you can still have adequate buying power in this market. And then, my opinion, maybe some numbers out there, it doesn't seem like it's going to slow down. So, you know, if you buy now, there's a good chance your property still appreciates in the near future. And trying to predict the market, you're going to predict yourself out of owning a home. So, you know, my opinion, it's still a good time to buy, but just going into it, understand what you're getting into. And like I said, I think there's a perfect blend of urgency on your part and also patience, because urgency, if you find a house that you like, you need to act, but also be patient, because there is going to be competition. And if you don't get that house, be patient that the next one's right around the corner. Yeah,
absolutely. And you need to focus on that and kind of keep all those things in mind, because if not, you're going to set yourself up for failure either way. You know, so you gotta stay positive. You gotta know that you're making a good decision for yourself, and know that it's the right decision for you and your family. You know, and I would just say that there is a counter where it's like, hey, maybe it's not the right time. You know that, but for somebody who's like, hey, I want to be out in Arizona. I want to be in this location. This is where I want to set up shop. This is where I want to raise my family. This is where I want to run my business. Do it.
So like, to that person, Greg, like, should this market prevent that person from still moving out here and buying out here? Maybe I phrased that wrong.
No, I think you're good. I think I just want to kind of get an idea, because I think, again, most people who are coming from these other areas, the people that are buying here in Arizona, are coming from other areas that are crazy right now as well. So I think the people that are most going to be hurt by what's going on in this market are people who either live here that are younger buyers that just don't have the savings to compete with some of the people coming in from out of state, which it's unfortunate, but it's part of what we're dealing with right now. Or, you know, younger families that are coming in from other areas that maybe don't have some of the equity that other people do. But if you're established and you have, you know that you're going to retire out here, you're going to run your business out here. From that perspective, I think you're in good shape. Yeah, and for the people that feel like you're getting pushed and priced out a little bit, know that there are markets out here. We're expanding. You know, there are markets that are going to be growing, whether it's Buckeye, Coolidge, Maricopa, Casa Grande. All those markets are growing. The new builds are coming. So you might be a little bit further out, but there could be some opportunity for you.
The market here in Phoenix Metro, I mean, do you think it's a good time to move out here and buy a house?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's going to be case by case for every single person. And, you know, we're going to try to guide you the best way we can to help you figure out if it is. If you're coming from a situation where you're like, hey, look, I know you guys are going through a crazy environment out there in Arizona, but I'm dealing with the same thing here, and I want to have a new environment, and you guys have an environment that fits me. Yeah, I think it's a good time to buy. I think there's still plenty of opportunity. I think that prices will continue to go up. So try to secure before you lose out on something. For the people that are hesitant to put all their eggs in one basket, or maybe, you know, don't have the ability to kind of compete with some of the buyers right now, there are opportunities for you. There are going to be areas that are building up on the outskirts of the metro area where we can kind of try to place you. It's hard. You're going to be competing.
Yeah.
I don't want to put anybody in a situation where they leverage their entire financial situation because, you just never know. But everything we see, if you're like, hey, Arizona's the place to be for me, I want to move my family there, I want to move myself there, I'm going to try to figure it out, then I think all the stats that we see, all of the information that we see, all the numbers, the math, everything adds up to Arizona being a very strong market for at least the next couple of years. And it would take something catastrophic throughout the entire country to mess that up. Now, will interest rates potentially go up to kind of soften the market?
Yeah, of
sure,
course.
that's a possibility. We've obviously seen how weird pandemics can cause crazy things to happen, although the last one obviously made the housing market go crazier, but you just never know.
Well, and I think to that point too, like with the pandemic, and if you're coming out here and you're working from home and you're not coming out here to work at an office here in Phoenix, and if you don't know any different, or all you know is what you see in our videos, every part of the valley it's a good place to live. Even if you're on the outskirts, if you're out in Goodyear, Buckeye, while you're not as close to like the heart of Phoenix, it's still a thriving community, a growing community with nice homes, and is a good place to live, especially if you don't, know any different or have any biases to the valley. Just get out here, and
I think the only thing, I mean, if we ever get back to people who are having to commute, then that's going to be important for people who have to commute. But there's so much growth office-wise going on. I mean, there's plenty of new businesses going up, especially in the West Valley, the East. I mean, it's all over. There's plenty of new business growth where there's new job opportunities going on all over. So, I think you're right, Chip, when it comes to, look, there's a lot of great places to live in the Phoenix metro area. Don't get yourself caught up into what's better between the East Valley, the West Valley, and all that type of stuff. They're both really great, honestly.
Just find the right house for you.
We all have our areas that we pick and choose that are good, are better, and some that we maybe don't like as much. We all have our preferences, but don't get too caught up in it.
Yeah, and I think overall, if you came out here and you checked it out, I don't think there's really a part of Phoenix Metro that you wouldn't like.
Yeah,
well, yeah, there are parts.
Hold on.
I just lied to you. But for the most part,
Chip only hangs out in the nice parts. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some places.
Chip, you want to show? I'll show you right now.
Yeah.
Grab the camera. We'll go take it through.
We're gonna go to the depths of South Phoenix, some of the rougher parts. But yeah.
Go to Maryvale.
Maryvale, yeah, definitely some parts of Phoenix that you should stay out of.
Stay out of Maryvale.